Speaker, my question, why does this government place cabinet secrecy ahead of the national interest in health? Why does it place the political security of Liberal politicians ahead of the security of Canada's blood supply?
News coverage. Guys, thank you so much for coming to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, what's good? Guys, my channel is about investigating. My channel is about being nosy. It's about looking at the other side of the field, you know what I'm saying? Because I still believe that we still in slavery, you know. So what we do on this channel is investigating history, investigate challenges that's going on in our neighborhoods, and what can we do to improve society. You know, it takes all people to make changes, like not just one person, all of us being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think we all reached that point where we all are sick and tired. You know, look at eggs, almost $10 for a pack of eggs in some places. That's ridiculous, you know. So guys, what we're gonna cover today is why is the death of Tyre, Nichols, and George Floyd important? Why aren't we protesting against inmates' death and slavery? Is the government trafficking Americans? So this is very important to know because it seems like certain cases people go out there and, like, you know, unfortunately on the George Floyd, a lot of communities got burned down. A lot of dividing and chaos and just a lot of stuff happened, and I really didn't see any great end results. So I hope there is one now, even though, you know, let's get into it. I don't want to talk too much about it. So guys, subscribe if you haven't hit the subscription button, and tell your friends that we're here to be nosy. We're here to investigate. So grab some coffee, whatever you drink on, and let's go. So why is the death of Tyre, Nichols, and George Floyd so important? So guys, every death and every killing and every murder and everyone who dies, you know what I'm saying, against their free will, you know, because death is already God's plan. I'm not going to go into it, but my thing is that every death does matter. You know what I'm saying? Either it was poisoned, either it was murdered, you know, a cop, not a cop. Every murder is important. And the only thing about certain murders, like, you know, the George Floyd, is that when the media, and this is for entertainment purposes and educational, guys, I'm not a specialist, so don't, you know what I'm saying, don't go over there and say, hey, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that certain cases is selected to control and create an agenda, you know what I'm saying? But every death should be taken seriously, you know what I'm saying? Why is only this two or certain deaths important, and why is it the spotlight? Is because at a certain, like, people make the media fake news, but the media, when they have an agenda or when they try to distract people, they make big cases. But why are we not looking into cases like these, like correctional officers killing inmates, and not even inmates, suspects? And not for nothing, I thought that we were innocent to proven guilty. So when they throw you into a holding cell and now you're being killed by a correctional officer, and no one is talking about it, that's when I'm starting to think, like, okay, so why are these two cases so big of a deal? Because anybody could be thrown and arrested if a police officer believes that there's a proper cause to arrest you. So why are we not shining also the light into this? You know what I'm saying? Why are we not shining the light into the fact that we are not innocent proven guilty? You know what I'm saying? And I want you guys to watch my other videos because I don't want to talk too much about the same thing. But my thing is, why are these two cases so important? Is because the media want it to be important. Why we're not shining light into everybody who's being killed while in handcuffs and in holding cell. So guys, let's continue. Let's go. So this is very important to know. About almost 5,000 numbers of inmates were killed, and these people were not even, you know, they wasn't even guilty yet, because they even haven't proved their guilt, because I thought we was innocent to proven guilty. So the state didn't even prove their guilt yet, and these people were killed waiting. So let's look. So illness, suicide, accident, homicide, drugs and alcohol. So my thing is, if these people are behind bars and these people have no freedom, so who's bringing the drugs and the alcohol into the facility? Who? That's the question. Okay. So who is? And illness. Why illness? So when you see the survey and they say illness, what type of illness? Are we talking about when someone is detoxing from drugs? Are you just throwing them into a holding cell, letting them choke in their own vomit? You know what I'm saying? How are you treating these people? Especially if you know they have a medical issue. That's the question. Suicide. Are we investigating these suicides that are going on in jails? No, because people are failing to realize that anybody could be accused of a crime, and now you got to prove you're innocent, because they had to prove your guilt. So you had to prove your innocence. So it's a game that we're playing. So guys, let's continue looking at this, because this is very important. Anybody, family member, anybody could be thrown in jail at any time.
The offender is purposely sit down. He's sitting down, he's on the floor. Y'all help him up to his feet. At this time, we're going to send this offender into his room. Into his cell. What cell we got with? Stand up. You better quit resisting, sir. Please, what? Please. We're getting help out of the shower now.
We even get into, and this is for entertainment purposes, guys, like I said before. So read the screen in red. Don't want to get flagged. But I just want to say something. So let's say if you don't have money for an attorney, you're giving a public defender. Just to keep in mind, in 2022, just like 2 months ago, well, yeah, because we're about to be, anyways, a public defender's salary, let's say in the state of Florida, they're making less than $60,000 a year. Let's say 62. So there's people actually working in supermarkets. There's people, entrepreneurs. There's people making way more money than this, just to keep that in mind. So these people are over exhausted, and these people are underpaid. So these people don't care. So let's say if you happen to fall in the loophole of the criminal system, and you don't have the money, now you're going to have one of these people who barely make any money to defend you. And these people really, really, some of them, I guess, do care, but most of them are overworked, underpaid, and they don't give a crap. So your life is hanging, and your life depends on this defender. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this, but people who are locked up are being forced, and they should not be forced to work under threat of solitude, confinement, under threat of loss of contact with visits with their loved ones. And also, like, let's say, for example, they are denied parole or even to defend themselves. So when people don't want to work, these inmates actually don't want to work, because a lot of people don't know that 13 Amendment rights, it actually excludes inmates from having their rights of freedom. So basically, they're slaves. So when these slaves, they don't want to work, they're threatened. Okay, they're threatened to confinement. They lose visitation. They lose privileges. They're actually under. Some of them are threatened and beaten, and some of them are denied parole. So keep that in mind. So when we're asking this question in the red screen. So a lot of people don't know this, but we also have corporations benefiting from prisons. Okay, so for example, we have McDonald's. McDonald's uses inmates to produce frozen food, guys, like those little beef patties and little nuggets you guys be eating, and all little chicken stuff, all those great burgers. It was actually processed by a inmate. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Every time you eat McDonald's, there was a little inmate who was getting paid 13 cents, maybe less than 50 cents an hour to touch your food. And Wendy's does the same. Walmart also do the same. They use and they hire inmates to use UPC barcodes and just do work in their warehouses and stuff like that, and really use it. So let's keep looking. So like we said, Walmart, Victoria's Secret, Sprint actually have inmates in call centers. So if you guys are ever calling customer service, just know that you might be talking to an inmate that's getting paid less than 50 cents an hour to answer your calls. So keep that in mind. But the really, really crazy question about this is, the right question that we ask is forced labor. That is one that was considered, that's what that word means. And people who being threatened and being forced, So that's very important and very serious to look at. So let's continue searching, guys, because this is getting very interesting. So, for example, a lot of people don't know this, but let's keep investigating, Maria. We call each other the Maria team, guys, because Marias are always nosy. So we're gonna be the nosy team. I keep saying that in all my videos, and I'm gonna continue saying that because I love doing this. It's very fun. So, for example, guys, we, the people, we're paying $81 billion every year to house our inmates. And a lot of people don't know this, that private jails and prisons are getting over almost $4 billion in annual. Number of companies, almost 5,000 over companies are benefiting from these slaves that are in our backyard. And also the jail and the prisons, they're making almost $3 billion just off calls and commissary. Because those little noodles that we pay, like inflation now, but $1 before. These inmates are paying $3, but these inmates are making less than 50 cents per hour. And let's continue, because a lot of people don't know this, but so it's crazy. In 2021, more than 51,000 people held jobs accountable for 65% of prison labor. It was found. So, for example, there was a lot of prisoners working throughout the states. Like, for example, DMV, an average employee could make $80 and over. per day, but they were using inmates, and these inmates were getting paid $4 to $6 a day. Okay, so it's very, very interesting how it's funny how people need to have background checks and stuff to even work in D&D and work in these places, but we have convicted criminals working in these places without private information, getting paid less than $6 a day. Very interesting, huh? I don't know. I found it very interesting. What about you guys? Drop that on the comments. Isn't that interesting? We have inmates working at DMV with all our personal information because they're on the contracts. But, you know, a regular person, if they have a background, they can work because they're getting paid average if they're not in prison. All right. I guess it's very interesting. Let's keep moving. So it's very important to look at what human trafficking means. Okay. So it involves the use of force to obtain some type of labor or commercial act. Okay. So traffickers, what they look for, okay? So people who are easy target include psychological, emotional vulnerability, economic hardship, lack of a social safety net, natural disaster, political instability. So guys, I mean, okay, psychological or emotional. When you don't have your freedom, and you are doing, let's say, 30 to 40 years, even a few years, your emotional state is very vulnerable, right? So another one, economic hardship. I mean, you have no money coming in, you need toilet paper, you need hygiene, food, because apparently, you know, with this $80 billion annual budget that we the people are paying for, you know, it doesn't include at least some kind of healthy meal. You know what I'm saying? I know they're prisoners, but if you have a whole bunch of people locked up in cages, hungry and broke, you know what I'm saying? What do you expect these people to do? They're going to be vulnerable, right? So lack of social safety nets. Some people don't have families, and some people do have families, but they don't have the money to take care of you, especially when ramen noodles cost triple the price in jail and in prison than it does in the free world. Okay, natural disaster, you're naturally going to be spending a lot of years in there. You already know it. Political instability. Think about it. Everything is political. You know what I'm saying? These places are owned by political elites. This places is owned and all this money. Who is in control of all this money? You know what I'm saying? These inmates are getting paid, and then they want to charge this inmate for room and board. So for example, let's say for example McDonald's, they use inmate labor. So let's say for example they had to use someone in the, let's say, free world, if that's what they want to call it. They'll have to pay them the minimum wage, which is over $10. Some places is $15. They're paying the average, and Americans are not willing to get paid any less than $15, especially now with inflation. Like, you got to keep it moving. And now you're gonna be working 3 or 4 jobs. So these people rather go dead, especially these big billionaire corporations, rather go to an inmate and pay them pennies, you know what I'm saying, to work a job. And then they want to turn around the handlers of the prison and charge these people room and board and give them nothing. So of course these are targets. So the question is, are Americans being human trafficked? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves, guys. So another question is, I see that everybody's protesting for Nichols. You know, it's very unfortunate his death. You know what I'm saying? But I also want to see, and I also want to know, why are we protesting for inmates? You know, everybody has at least a family member who's locked up, and why are we not protesting that anybody could fall into slavery? And, everybody, anybody, anyone, anybody. You could be minding your business, and next thing you know, you snap, somebody attacks you, something happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything can happen to anyone at any moment. And do you have over, let's say, to defend yourself at this point, you at least need like $60,000 if you fall in the loophole of the criminal system. If not, you're gonna have a public defender that's making less than $62,000 a year. $62,000, like, that's there's people and managers that are making more than that. There's people in production managers. There's people making way more money than that. Even bartending and even like being entrepreneurs. There's even people making more money doing little videos and rails right now than public defenders. So our life are depending on these people who are making less than $62,000 a year to play with your life. Anybody could be the next victim of human trafficking, which is considered to be legal if you are under punishment. The 13th Amendment rights don't include you. So that means you will be a slave. Anybody could be a slave at any moment. Break the laws. But the land and the handlers, they could break the law all the time, right? That's how we do it in America. So that means if you guys are still here, that means that you do care about your communities and you do care about society. You do care about the future. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very, very terrifying to know that anybody could be the victim of injustice. And if you don't have someone to represent you, or you don't have money, then anybody can fall into this loophole. So my channel is not about just looking at problems and being like, oh my God, and scaring people, because I hope it doesn't scare people. It's more about opening people's eyes that this is possible. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could be victim to this. But my channel is about finding solutions. You know what I'm saying? Like, my thing is, like, why do we have to get a public defender? Why, under our constitutional rights, we have a law saying that each and every American has this protection that they get to hire an attorney of their choice, and the taxpayers had to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? I believe so. I believe that everybody deserves a great defense. I don't believe, I'm not going to say that I don't discriminate, because, I am a human being and I don't really like people that, hurt kids or force themselves, things like that to anybody, and take things for people like against their will. But there is a lot of people who are serving sentences for petty stuff, you know what I'm saying, life stuff. But then there is a lot of people who have big cases, you know what I'm saying? But these people who have big cases are the ones that have money, and they're the ones who get away with stuff because they have money to pay for an attorney, a good one. So my thing is, like, how is it possible that there's people who committed less painful crimes, because crime is illegal, you know what I'm saying? But there's people that committed crazy crimes and they had good lawyers and good reputation, and they get away with stuff, So to me, I feel like each and every American should have the rights to be able to hire any attorney they want, you know what I'm saying, at least 2-3 times in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody could be victim of this. And your life now depends on a public defender who is basically making no money, to defend you in your life. And thousands and thousands and thousands of others who don't have money. So guys, we need to start really looking into this. And the only way to change things is for us to petition, for us to stand together, for us to not go burn down communities, for us to shake our pens very hard at every petition that makes sense, every petition that's going to represent us, every life skill that we can learn so we could open organizations in our community so we could do the footwork. Because if we wait here for them to do it, our ancestors were waiting, we're waiting, our kids are going to wait, then our great kids, we're going to be waiting here forever. So it's time for us to learn our laws and for us to learn how to use our legal names to learn how to invest, learn how to really borrow credit, and learn how to play not even the white man's game, the politician people game. Because they all come in different colors. They all come in different colors, not just white. The elites, they come in many colors. Plus, well, you know what I'm saying. But guys, subscribe to my channel because I'm going to continue shining some light. And I'm going to continue talking about things that people are not even thinking about. That could happen to anyone. Don't wait till it happens to you. Don't wait for it to be too late. Don't wait for it to happen to one of your family members. Because it happens to anyone. You know how much innocent people right now are in prison? Let that sink in.